I was gonna say we watched Mindhunter. Did we talk about that before?
No.
Amazing show.
Yeah, such a good show. I can't wait for season 2. It's a show about how like the FBI developed their back in the 70s, was it? Like
Yes.
the 70s? Started they didn't have like police work didn't really include a lot of psychology.
Uh-huh.
So they brought in like psychologists or friends profilers.
Right.
And the main character uses psychology and to study serial killers that have already been caught, so that he can profile future murders and find them like psychos and stuff. And in that way, they develop a profile, and they also interview people, and they can figure it out because they are very similar they have similar backgrounds or things that are going on.
It's kind of like Criminal Minds.
Very similar, but this one's better, I think.
And it's true story. It's based on real facts, and that's actually how they came up with the term serial killers, because they were trying to figure out how to categorize.
Right. They had like different names.
The difference between
they had one that was organized.
There's an organized, and then there's
opportunistic. Is that the word? Like opportunity.
There's like a random killing.
Random one. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So there's a difference between
disorganized,
thoughtful, organized killings, and then just disorganized one where people just go
and they had like different qualities. Like usually the organized one were like guys who had like a lot of OCD, like they were like very meticulous about certain things, and then the other guys had like different backgrounds. And not that everybody has OCD is a killer. I'm not saying that. But
yeah. Well, so what do you guys think about these serial killer type movies, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre or some of these other ones where it's like the people have to go out and find the killer?
Right.
Like I guess Zodiac is based on a true story, but it's kind of horror-like, right?
Yeah, that was there's a suspense
thriller, but
to
it was still good.
Suspense to it, like Silence of the Lamb. I really like the Cell.
Cell was great.
That was so good, right?
I don't think it got enough credit that it needed to get.
Like
that's
because it
awesome.
mixed everything. It mixed like the more investigation part, and then there was the sci-fi part, and there was a serial killer part.
USF for a while, and before class we had this auditorium we would go into, and the class before mine was a movie class. They would study movies, and I had not seen The Cell, but I had gone in and I was there early, and they were watching The Cell. And the scene that I saw was the horse.
The horse, yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell is this?
Right.
So I had to watch the movie, and that is a great movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that horse scene is a lot like the Resident Evil scene when the guy gets.
Oh yeah, with the lasers.
With the lasers,
all,
every time you see like a body or piece of meat just be chopped into little pieces like that at once.
Yeah.
It gives you like a weird, I don't know, sensation of like I don't know what it is. It's not such a gross like gory thing. It's just some odd feeling of like.
I enjoyed the psychological part of it. How she was able to go into the mind of a serial killer, and you see his past and like mixed other memories that made him into what he was today.
Right.
I actually enjoy movies where you start to feel for the serial killer, and you're like, oh man, I actually feel bad for you because you had so many messed up things happen to you, and it's not your fault that you were made into a monster, you know? And most people don't want to take the time and be like, they just want to pinpoint you as a monster. Let's burn the monster. Let's burn the witch at the stake. But you have no idea what they went through to become that.
Right.
That's a great point.
Thank you.
Thank you. I was thinking about the Insidious movie. Remember?
Yes, they actually scared me too, though.
I didn't not so much like the movie, but I like the concept of it because again, remember I told you about the lucid dreams, and that was a constant fear that I used to have, and I don't know if it's because I heard it or because that I would leave my body. I used to like have these lucid dreams where I could float away out of my body. I was like 15. I'm pretty sure it has to do with your hormones, you're growing up, but whatever your brain's. But anyway, I could see myself elevate from my body and see my body, and I would start leaving the house, like start floating away. But then I would get really afraid that I couldn't get back to my body. And there was like this innate fear. I don't know if it was because people told me that if you leave your body, some entity can enter your body. But there was this fear of floating away. So I would just float back and then I would wake up. So it was like, oh my god, what if? And then I saw the movie Insidious. It was like the same concept. Like, they left the body, and the lady goes into his body, and
he doesn't come back
right.
as himself.
Yeah,
and it's creepy because you don't even know. You think it's Dad. It's not really Dad.
Someone else.
Yeah.
Speaking of like body snatching type scenarios, I remember it was like the Chucky Child's Play.
Oh yes, I love Chucky.
And those movies were also like super creepy and
right. My sister Paula,
it comes out. You have two sisters.
Yeah,
right?
I have more than two. And she would freak out. Sorry, Paula. She would freak out when she would see Chucky, and it was the time where they had like the news, posters for the movie everywhere downtown. In downtown, you would walk around, and they were like huge, and she would just flip out. So I would purposely point them out to her, like,
that's me.
Look at that. Look at that.
The other kind of movie I like for horror is Cabin in the Woods. I think it's probably my favorite horror movie of all time.
I have not seen it.
It was funny.
You told me about it. It's the one where it's like they set it up to be a scary movie with actors and stuff like that, kind of.
Well, no,
maybe I got the wrong.
No, I think you have the right one. Yeah, they set it. They set it up. Yeah,
right. I mean, if I tell you, it's like telling you at the end of the Sixth Sense.
Gotcha.
What it is, and you already know that something's up, and that's kind of sucks because that's what the movie.
Because it's so old that I saw someone making fun of it on a video or something like that. So I already knew that it was.
Didn't
like that.
Josh Whedon make that one?
Josh.
Sorry, pronounce it wrong. Josh.
It's Josh Whedon.
Sorry,
but
the Mr. Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, he did Buffy, which was a good. I guess that's a horror.
Angel and Buffy. Yeah.
Angel, Buffy. What was the other one? There was one more. I know. Did Spike have his own show? No, he never had.
No, he should have. He was probably one of the best. So when I was coming up with the questions, I was trying to find different celebrity actors who have played in horror movies. Like, Johnny Depp got his start at Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, which is actually my favorite part in the whole movie.
But I came up with Paul Rubens when he was in Buffy. But Paul Rubens is Pee Wee Herman.
Oh, I
remember him in Buffy
He was
the
in
Vampire
the
Slayer?
original Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. I never knew that was him until years later. Like,
really?
Yeah. I never figured that out.
Not his normal character.
Right. And he didn't look like him. Like, he had all that makeup on. And,
that's true.
Yeah.
I can't believe they had Donald Sutherland, too, as he plays, like, the Giles. He's like,
the guy who
trains her.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny because he's just so calm and like you don't see him playing in that type of role where he's dealing with this valley girl all day and teaching her how to kill vampires.
Now, speaking of which, his son Kiefer Sutherland was in one of the best vampire movies
of all time.
Lost
Boys.
Yep.
That also was a very scary movie for me when I was a kid, but I loved it. It was one I would sit through and so I loved a lot more horror movies than I give myself credit for.
Yeah, when it's not so disgusting and everything.
Right. A little known fact I read about The Lost Boys is actually wasn't supposed to be as scary as it was when the directors writing it. He wanted it to be more like a Goonies type of movie.
It had a Goonies
and then I guess I don't know halfway through the writing or something he decided to switch it up and make it more scary than it was, and thank God he did because it's like one of the greatest movies ever made.
Which is
maggots.
Like
You're eating maggots, Michael.
And what we do in the shadows.
And what we do in the shadows.
There's the part in there.
He gives him like Chef Boyardee. You're eating maggots.
Right.
And the other vampire, he tries to do it too, and he's like, your fries are maggots. And he's like, no, it has to be something that looks like maggots.
So if you get anything out of this podcast, go watch What We Do in the Shadows.
The funny part about that movie is a lot of people that we've told to watch it hated it.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, my sister couldn't get into it. I was surprised. I'm like, what?
Yeah. I've told a couple people, and they're like, yeah.
I thought it was
man.
I loved it.
All right. Well, how about, since I'm thinking about horror movies, Scream, and what that spawned and how it changed horror movies in a different direction.
Right. It was the rebirth of all that genre.
Yeah.
Right? Because it took all the
typical
slasher things and put them all in one. I thought it was a good movie. I liked it.
I liked it too.
Yeah.
I don't remember watching the second or third or after that. I really liked the first one. It had a lot of plot twists and.
Well, the twist at the end is so great, so that when you make the second and third, it's like, how do you top that?
Exactly. Yeah. And the actors were really good in the first one.
Yeah. I enjoy when you don't know who the killer is and you think you know for the whole entire movie, and then all of a sudden they switch it up on you. It's like, wait, hold on, what the hell? Like,
yeah. And this one did a really good job at that.
That's why I like Friday the 13th, the original one. Like Jason was never in it. Jason was never the. Sorry, spoiler alert. Wait, Jason was never the killer.
What?
Yes.
I don't know this.
Friday the 13th, people, Jason was never in it. Jason was introduced in the second movie and then all the other ones. In the first movie, it's actually his mother.
Whoa.
So that threw me off when I saw that. I was like, what?
It's funny because, I have that Raspberry Pi.
Yes.
Yeah. So she made me download the Friday. What is it? No, Friday the 13th was it, or was it? Yeah, the video game.
Oh yeah, I love the video game. The old Nintendo one.
It's like an old Nintendo one.
It still scares the crap out of me.
You go in these little rooms. It's kind of like Doom at one point, where you go through this room. All of a sudden, you turn, and it's Jason
right there. All right, so I got some stuff on my list. This is a good one. You ever hear a movie called Bone Tomahawk?
Yes, I saw that. It was good.
Good. Did you ever hear of it?
Nope, never heard of it. What is it?
Kurt Russell.
That's
my baby.
Matthew Fox from Lost.
Okay.
And some other people you would recognize. It's a Western horror movie.
Western horror movie.
Yeah. It's kind of slow for a while, but when it gets into the horror part of it, it's horror. I mean, I don't know where to go with it. Explain, Maddie. Like, what would you say horror-wise about this movie?
The fact that it deals with Native Americans, so it has that history that makes it more scary for me because it could possibly be true. You know what I mean? And they were cannibalistic, so that anything with cannibalism scares me because
you're the prey.
That could happen. Yeah. So
you're not the apex predator anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Go watch this movie. I think it's on Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, go see that one. Good. Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh, that's so good.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't.
I think that's more fantasy.
Yeah, but it was scary. You know what you're talking about, like the part where the guy with the
eye in his
eyes in
love
his
that
hands.
monster.
That was a scary part. I bet you, like, if you were like 10 years old, you probably.
But I guess fairy tales back then were your horror movies. Those, most of the fairy tales, like especially with Brothers Grimm's, like most of their fairy tales all have to deal with either a monster eating a child or something like that. You have like Hansel and Gretel and all those types of fairy tales. So I guess I want to say thank you to fairy tales because if it wasn't for fairy tales,
Would you guys go to a mirror and say Candyman 3 times?
Yes, I've done that.
Yes. Yeah, no problem.
No problem.
Well, you're in the basement practicing. Evil Dead movies.
Mm-hmm.
Those are fun.
I love you, Ash.
Yeah. And
not the new one. I will not watch the new one. I watched the commercial where she cuts her tongue with a razor blade.
Oh, yeah.
And nope. But the old ones are awesome.
Yeah.
I like the old ones. I like the remake, too. The remake, they made it more scary.
Yeah, it was.
Instead of like, you didn't have Ash, the smart talking,
campy.
But the second one, they made more horror, and I enjoyed
it. Was good. It was a different type of movie, I felt. But it was good.
They were more darker than the original. But the new Ash vs. Evil just came out on Netflix, the series, and they were amazing.
Yeah, really?
There's 2 seasons out.
Yeah,
so if you guys are Evil Dead fans, please watch those. They were great.
All right. I hope they keep making them. Yeah, watch them so they keep making them.
I like it because they have all the characters from like Xena. I forgot they were all friends. Yeah. So they have like Jockster, they have Lucy Lawless in it, and it's like, oh snap!
It's like watching all those Hercules and Xena. I used to watch them nonstop. And I try to go back. I think I told you about this. I try to go back and watch it, and I can't. Like, they're so campy. So, but I loved it when I was 13.
Nice.
One thing I was going to say is that I really liked this new The Strangers movie.
Mm-hmm.
In the first one, it's just bad things happening. There's nothing.
Yeah.
It's just killers killing.
Okay.
And that's the movie. And in the second one, it was kind of going that way, and I was like,